All righty. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jason Salas Gonzales, and I'm the treasurer for the New York chapter of Cyversity. Also joining me from the New York board today is Kirby Brown, our chapter president, Dorian, our chapter secretary, Eric Permenter, board advisor, and Hayden Wilson, head of membership. And on behalf of the New York Board of Cyversity, I want to thank everyone for attending today's virtual event. I am extremely pumped and excited for today's event because we are celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Month with a panel of cybersecurity Asian luminaries around the topic of career development. So pretty excited about that. Now, before we get into the main event, I want to give everyone a little bit of a knowledge on Cyversity. So actually, I apologize, I'm not sharing my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Awesome. Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. So a little bit on Cyversity. So Cyversity is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the academic and professional success of minority cybersecurity students and professionals. Now, Cyversity's mission is to achieve the consistent representation of women and underrepresented minorities in the cybersecurity industry through programs designed to diversify, educate, and empower one person at a time. Now, every month we do virtual events similar to this topic and themes. And my ask today is if you find value and if you enjoyed these programs, please follow us on social media like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and give us a thumbs up, and also consider being a member. I'll put my information in the chat if you have any questions on being a member for today for Cyversity. So now I'd like to introduce our panel moderator, Eric T.S. Gonzales. Yes, he has the same last name as me because he is actually my brother. A few things on Eric before I pass the ball over to him. In 1997, Eric created a cybersecurity software company called DB Secure out of my parents' basement in Passaic, New Jersey. He later sold that company to a company called ISS based out of Atlanta. And in 2001, Eric went on to start Application Security Inc., a database security company based out of New York City. After a few years of that and gaining over 2,000 customers, Eric successfully sold Application Security Inc. to TrustWave. Most recently, Eric founded a company called ThreatNG, which focuses on attack surface management and is currently just coming out of stealth mode. And when Eric's not making the world a safer place for cybersecurity, he plays in two bands. One band is called PIC, and they call their mixture, their music, a mixture of hip hop, punk, funk, mambo, ska. And the other band is called Red Dotson, which they're playing good old fashioned rock and roll. And lastly, Eric is also responsible for getting yours truly into the cybersecurity game by giving me my first job at Application Security Inc. Gee whiz, almost 20 years ago. So yes, I got my first job out of college through nepotism. I'm okay with that. And that's probably why my mother likes him better than me. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our panel moderator, Eric T.S. Gonzales. Eric, welcome. You're on mute, bro.
Well,
there you go.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, bro. And I appreciate the introduction.
Awesome.
It's yeah, welcome to the panel today, and the focus here is on career development, and with a specific focus on Asian American Pacific Islander, especially in lieu of the whole month that we're in. As we got a great number of individuals for this panel, of which I'll just simply run down the actual roster here. Starting with Henry Jiang. Henry Jiang is an experienced problem solver, a change agent, a certified information systems security professional with over 2.5 decades of technology and risk management expertise, having cut his teeth at some of the world's largest financial institutions. He's currently the Chief Information Security Officer at Diligent, a company which provides solutions in governance, risk and compliance, and environmental, social, and governance. a company with a revenue over $500 million and a valuation of well over $7 billion. Henry there is responsible for Diligence Global, cybersecurity, governance, and risk management programs, security operations, and product security. Products and solutions with well over 25,000 customers, spanning across like 1 million users, and spanning even more so across over 130 countries. Outside of Diligent, Henry serves on customer advisory boards for numerous technology and cybersecurity companies, and is an active contributor to the cybersecurity community via his published contributions in books and online through podcasts and blog posts. Going down the roster, we have Kevin Chu. Kevin Chu is the Director of Information Security at SafeBase, a company that has raised over $20 million in funding and provides solutions to help companies simplify security assessment processes and compliance reviews. Kevin oversees SafeBase's entire internal security program and also has an active role in the present and future solution capabilities. Prior to joining SafeBase, Kevin has served as a consultant in a financial services world and helped start the security programs at, you may remember, Jet.com, which was an e-commerce platform company that has raised over $500 million in funding and ultimately acquired by Walmart for over $3 billion. And SeatGeek, a mobile-focused ticket platform and search engine that lets fans buy and sell tickets for all types of events and raised over $160 million. And we have Naomi Buckwalter. Naomi is the founder and executive director of Cybersecurity Gatekeepers Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to changing the mindset of hiring managers and leaders in cybersecurity and closing the demand gap. With over 2 decades of IT and security experience encompassing software engineering, security architecture, engineering, and executive leadership, Naomi is a certified information systems security professional, information security manager as well, with 2 master's degrees from Villanova University and a bachelor's of engineering from Stevens Institute of Technology. Naomi has paired her experience with a passion to help others, a pairing that she uses today to mentor and advise people, particularly women all over the world, to get into cybersecurity. And if you are a LinkedIn Learning subscriber, I know I am, you can take her course on building the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. Then we have Joseph So. Joseph So is an IT and cybersecurity professional with over 2 decades of experience that has focused on creating and managing programs in risk management, security governance, incident response, and privacy management across many verticals that include financial services, e-commerce, entertainment, fashion, and aerospace. Leading up to his role as the Chief Information Security Officer for Scotiabank US, along with serving on the board of several cybersecurity companies and venture capital firms. With certifications as an information systems security professional, information security manager, and data privacy solutions engineer, Joseph also has a master's in information security insurance from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University and a bachelor's of science in computer forensics from Pace University. As a security professional, Joseph has been recognized and awarded the Hot Topics Top 100 in 2022 and On Conference's Top 10 Chief Information Security Officers in 2021. Prior to that, in 2020, was given the Information Security Executive People's Choice Award of Chief Information Security Officer of the Year. Outside of the office, Joseph serves on the board of directors for the New York Metropolitan chapter of the Information Systems Audit and Control Association, and is a mentor for cybersecurity students participating in IQ4, which is a digital town cloud infrastructure platform enabling a skills marketplace for learning and hiring. So that's our roster for today. And as we proceed on with the panel discussion, we're going to cover a couple key areas in career development. We're going to have our panelists go over their journey, their current role, responsibility, and situation. their perspective on the industry, and any parting words of wisdom for our audience members here. So with that said, as we just go right into it, we'll start off with having our panelists describe the journey. So in their journey, was there an aha moment when you realized you wanted to work in cybersecurity? Did you choose it or did it choose you? I want you to tell us about your journey in security and any essential experiences you have had. Events or turning points in your life, people that influenced you, challenges that you faced along the way. Were there naysayers trying to keep you down? Were you being overlooked? Was education experience a challenge? Did you encounter prejudices and stereotypes? Did he hit a glass ceiling, or in this case, a bamboo ceiling? So was that really a thing for you? So we kick it off, I guess, so we go in like the order that I introduced everybody. So maybe start off with Kevin, with Henry, and then go on Kevin, Naomi, and Joe. So Henry, you want to kick that off?
Oh, I was gonna hope you stay with Kevin, so I go next.
You can steal his answer, right?
Yeah, I know. So it's really, I think sometimes it's hard to, precisely remember the defining moment. However, there's two, actually, not singular, I would say two moments that really lead me to where I am today. One is actually a book I wrote, I read probably 25 years ago, called The Cuckoo's Egg by Cliff Stu. I don't know if you know anyone knows book. It's a fascinating book about this computer nerd in the university. For 25 cents discrepancy on the mainframe billing system, he was able to track down a Russian at the time Soviet hacker, right? How they steal the mainframe time. So that was a fascinating book I read. At the time, I have no idea what's cybersecurity, but I was very much into computer science. So like, yeah, that sounds like cool. I wanted to be doing that someday, right? Not knowing exactly cyber or even InfoSec. The second defining moment is much later in my career when I was transitioning from IT responsibility. I was a managing director for a US trading company, really enjoying building the network, high performance network trading floors, build a lot of network security embedded, right? Cisco firewall, ASA, all this stuff in the network. So when the company was looking for CISO, the first CISO nonetheless, because SCC said you have to do so in 2014, I volunteered, not knowing exactly what I'm getting into, right? I still remember my CTO at the time said, Henry, it's okay, you can do this, but he said, I just let you know, there's no going back. You're no longer going to be a techie, right? So you are going to entire different direction, just so you know what's going on. So I said, oh, yeah, how hard can that be, right? Of course, right? My first, after that, right, really the risk compliance become really the language I speak today, right? With the legal, regulatory, and on so on. So I still enjoy doing it. So sorry, that's kind of the two moments that I can share with the audience here.
Awesome, Kevin.
Yeah, I can actually, my career journey is not super interesting, but I can talk about some prejudice that I've encountered and kind of what I did about it. So back when I was at Jet.com, we got acquired by Walmart. And I remember we started meeting with some of the executives because the security team was well known for being extremely good. The Walmart team was actually very jealous of us of how much we were able to accomplish with our limited resources. And I remember the CIO at the time, who eventually got fired. She wasn't a good person. She asked me what my name was. And so I said, Kevin. And before that, she had also asked where I was from. And I said, I'm from Brooklyn. And she asked me, no, where are you really from? And I said, I am really from Brooklyn. And so when she asked my name, I said, I'm Kevin. I have a last name, but I don't think you'd be able to pronounce it, because she was clearly like a racist person. And at the time, I didn't think much of it. It just kind of came out of my mouth. And afterwards, the rest of my team was like, you're going to get fired for doing that. And I was like, so be it. So I think for a lot of us who do experience prejudice in the workplace, if you kind of let it happen, it's never going to stop, right? And so looking back on that experience, if I were to do that again, I would also have no hesitation. And so I know there is this idea of like the bamboo ceiling and all that, but this is something that we as Asian Americans have to kind of break ourselves, right? We can't ask anyone else for help. because it might not come. And so whenever you see this type of behavior where people just tell them like, I'm not going to stand for it, right? So that's my advice to the audience around that.
Thank you, Kevin. Naomi?
Whoa, that was so deep.
That was great.
Yeah, that was awesome. I can tell you about my personal story, but I also want to tell you about the prejudices I've also encountered. I like the way that he took that because I think it's really important. Growing up, you know, being one of the only Asians in school, you're gonna get made fun of. You're just different, right? And when you're a kid, the only thing you want to be is like the same as everyone else. But now I feel like as an adult, it's one of my superpowers. I love being different. I love being able to speak a different language. Like here in America, most Americans only just speak the one. And I just love that being different about me. I love having a different heritage. I love all of that about me. But growing up for sure, I just wanted to be like everyone else. Getting in the workplace, it was the same thing. Starting out of college, I worked for a company called Vanguard, a huge mutual fund giant, trillions of dollars of asset under management, right? So I was there. I remember one specific conversation that I had. It was more of like just in passing, I think. And, you know, kind of same question, where are you from? Right? Like kind of one of those things. And at the time, it used to really bother me. I used to be like, I'm American. I was born in New Jersey, right? And I would do all these things. And I let that eat at me for the longest time. And I would say that it took me years to get over the fact that I was Asian. And now that I'm in my 40s, I recognize how much time I wasted by focusing so much on the hurt and the microaggressions. And now I'm in the place where I'm like, you know what? They're the ones with the problems. If they're going to be racist and prejudiced, like I can overcome that. I'm strong enough to not let that hurt me. I don't have that monkey on my back anymore that just says like you're different or you're weird or you're foreign and whatever it is. I ignore that now. And now I can actually just go out and be who I am and be really proud of being Asian and not let anyone affect me. Like even if it's a microaggression, I'm okay with it because that's not going to hurt me. I'm strong enough to stand up for that and for myself. And I also love, and I want to say this, the people listening now, you're all allies. I get that. And I really appreciate that. And I love the allies that can stand up for minorities and for women, especially in the workplace, and not make a really big show out of it. So if you guys are here and you're listening and you want to be an ally, you know, you want to stand up for somebody, do it outside of the room, do it in a private conversation, do it in a way where the benefit of your allyship isn't there. Because that's the kind of allyships that really matter, not the performative ones, not the ones that are just like right blatantly in your face kind of thing. Those are good, but we also need the ones that are in those back rooms and those back channels, those private channels. And then when it comes to the bamboo ceiling, we're going to see so much of us just breaking through that bamboo ceiling. I would love to see that.
Thank you, Naomi. And Joe?
Thank you, Eric. So my career path was actually very similar to Henry, believe it or not. You know, I started in the IT field in the late 90s, early 2000s. During the aerospace company that I was in, my boss at the time was really great influence for me because he pushed me into cybersecurity. We were doing security audits, risk governance, trying to make sure that, you know, the divisions that we were working with have the proper policies and procedures that they're supposed to be following from the global head office. It was my first foray into the world of cybersecurity. I kind of loved it while I was doing it then. The next company I switched to was a hedge fund where I was the VP of IT originally. And then like Henry, SEC regulations came out. The company needed a CISO. I said, you know what, let me learn to be a CISO. So, you know, created policies, created procedures. I had to learn what security controls were. It was a really eye-opener for me, believe it or not. But I fell in love with it actually. You know, my initial goal was to be a CIO when I was younger. I said I wanted to be a CIO, I want to be a CIO. But then once I learned about cybersecurity, what it was all about, I said to myself, you know what, this is the career path I wanted to get into. And you know, since that day in my life, I decided to pivot into more cybersecurity. No, obviously, like my fellow panelists here, you know, there was definitely a bamboo ceiling for me. It was actually a double-edged sword at the time. I actually didn't have my college degree at the time, you know, so there was a lot of stigmatism. People would look at my resume, oh, you didn't have a college degree, you know, you're already getting paid too much. We don't want to pay you because of the college degree. It was a lot of negativity. They didn't look at me based on my experience. They looked at my skin color and looked at me based on the fact that I didn't have a college degree. But at the same time, I said to myself, you know what? I can overcome this. You know, I always wanted a college degree, to be honest with you. My childhood bringing really didn't allow me to do that when I was growing up as a kid. But as I got older, you know, my focus and dedication became there, became more patient in life. So, you know, went back for my my undergrad degree at Pace University, Finished that when I was in 2016, and then I fell in love with school. Went back for my master's degree immediately right after that, and got my master's degree as well too. So in a way, I'm a late bloomer. Eventually got my cybersecurity certs out there as well too, and fell in love with it. The thing I have to say about the bamboo ceiling, and I actually talked to a lot of people as well too. Don't let other people bring you down. You need to overcome your own self insecurities when it comes to the bamboo ceiling. If you could portray confidence of who you are, what you're trying to say, they'll listen to you, right? It's based on your experience, and people will listen to you if you could talk, portray that confidence. I actually have a CISO friend. He was telling me like, Joe, I'm not like you. You speak fluent English. I go, that shouldn't be a stopper for you. You're a CISO as well too. You should be able to portray what it is. But don't let that language barrier be an issue. Let your skills and your education, your experience be the one speaking for you, not the fact that you're Asian, not the fact that your English is not perfect. It really should be about your skill sets, and he actually listened to me, and eventually management started to listen to them more, and then he started to grow that confidence level afterwards of just being more confident about himself. And I think that's the key to overcoming this bamboo ceiling. Like, don't let the racism put you down. Overcome it. Be confident in yourself, right? Because it's really yourself that will drive you to be in that bamboo ceiling, not anyone else.
Awesome. Thank you, Joseph. So I'll move on to like the next set of questions. Talking about your current role, responsibility, and situation. So essentially, where and what are you doing now? What does it mean to be a security professional in general and an Asian American Pacific Islander in today's world? What challenges do you face for yourself or even managing others, colleagues, team members, up and down the business hierarchy? And what motivates you to keep on going? To kick it off, Kevin?
Sure. So, some of the challenges that I noticed maybe when I was younger or with other people that I know that are Asian Americans is a lot of us tend to think, oh, I'm not qualified, or leadership sounds scary. I don't want to manage people. So this is something that I kind of felt in the beginning of my career. I thought, yeah, I'm just going to be an individual contributor, like maybe a software engineer or something. And then consulting was actually a really good eye opener for me because we got to travel to all these different places, meet a bunch of different clients. And I realized that there's really not a reason I couldn't be in management either. Like, to be honest, some of the folks we were talking to in management, they weren't that smart. And I just thought, hey, I'm smarter than them. Like, I could do this too. And kind of over time, I just slowly gained more confidence. Part of it was I just had really good coworkers, mentors. And when I was looking for a new job after I took a little career break, I didn't think twice about the title director, right? I know a lot of people do. And part of it is cultural, right? Like, I know my parents were always like, if your boss tells you to do something, say yes, right? And that kind of forces a lot of people into thinking, okay, this is a good, stable job, pays well, I'm happy. And I would encourage folks to kind of branch off of that, explore different things. And a good example is my direct report. She used to work in radiology, right? It was a pretty good career track. And she just had an interest in cybersecurity. And so at the age of 34, she decided she wanted to switch and do something new. And I thought that was really cool. And even though she didn't have the college experience and all that, she had a lot of motivation. She did a lot of self-studying. And that's the type of person that I will be looking to hire in the future. And I know Naomi writes a lot of LinkedIn posts about this. And so hopefully we see more of that in the future as well.
Thank you, Kevin. And with that handoff, Naomi?
Love it. I'm like a huge fan of you, Kevin. Like, this is awesome. You're giving someone a chance. I felt the same way when I broke into cybersecurity. I was a developer. I had no security experience, but I was so annoying about wanting to be in cybersecurity. I just kept talking to the hiring manager. Hey, when can I join your team? When can I join? I annoyed him so much. He finally just been like, fine, just join my team, right? And so I very easily broke in that way just because I was super annoying, but I was given a chance because I had no experience. And this is years ago. I would be laughed out of the room now. If I tried the same thing, people would be like, go back out in the street. Like, it would been like, it was just such a different time. And I feel like it's just vastly unfair for the people trying to break in now. They're so talented. They're digital natives. They have so much passion and interest, and there's so many resources out there to learn. And it's almost unfair. But anyway, getting back to the question, which now I forget. but what am I doing currently? Right. I'm the product security staff engineer at a company called Studio. I'm in charge of product security at Studio. If you guys aren't familiar with product security, it's just like a superset of application security, infrastructure security, network security, all that kind of stuff. So I'm building out a product security program. I've done this 5 times now. Different companies, mostly small and mid-sized companies. I love building out cybersecurity programs, and I love building the people under me. My last company, I had 9 direct reports, and about 4 or 5 of them had no IT or security experience. And I love just taking new talent and raw talent and showing them like how awesome they can be. I don't know if I answered the question directly, but I'm going to stop there.
It's all right, Naomi. Like Joseph?
Thank you for that. Yeah, so I'm currently the Chief Information Security Officer for Scotiabank US. Scotiabank is a Canadian retail bank and corporate bank as well too. My day-to-day is really about managing the cyber program. I have a large staff that works with me as well too. We do a lot of things with regulatory audits, security governance, advisory functions. It's a challenging job, but I treat it very professionally because it's fun to really work with the business, help the people that's underneath their stakeholders of how to secure your products right while they're trying to go live with it. As a CISO agency, so to be honest, I'm proud that I'm an agency. So working for a financial bank, it's not a simple task to get to the point where I am today. Definitely took a lot of hard work trying to get here. From a managing perspective, be honest with you, I've tried to create a very diverse team what I have today. I have African Americans working for me, Asian people working for me, females as well too, people from Yemen. I like to create a diverse team. I don't believe that it should be just one race working for you. I try to create a diverse team because you hear the different aspects of what the team members share. Very similar to Kevin, I like to hire people who are smarter than me. I'm not the smartest person in the room. I will never portray myself as the smartest person in the room. However, I'm going to listen to my team members contribute because at the end of the day, we're one team, we're one organization, and it's very important to kind of really work closely with your team members. What motivates me to keep going, I'll be honest with you, I actually love mentoring. I like helping people. That's one of my biggest things. As when I was growing up, I didn't get a lot of help growing up. There were definitely certain people along the way that I met that helped groom my career as well too. But as a child or even in my teens, there was a lot of lack of direction. These days I speak to students in elementary schools. I'll speak to students in high schools about cybersecurity, even college people, college students. Just past weekend, I actually, spoken to a class at Fordham University about cybersecurity and helping them with, the career path and choices. So I think that's what keeps me going these days. It's just the fact that, to give back to the community. And I actually love it.
Thank you, Joseph. And Henry?
Well, what I'm doing right now, so as a diligent as a product company, actually this is the first time I lead the application security, by extension product security, which is the area I think I'm most inexperienced when I joined the diligent 3 years ago. So I'm still learning, believe it or not, right? Just the different development lifecycle, DevOps, DevSecOps, really translate what they mean, right? Just materially, not just say it's fancy words, which turned out to be is really harder to some degree when you have a potential legacy development workflow. So that's what I've been spending a lot of time on. The other part of my time on is certainly support commercial team, which is another new fairly new area for me to talk to customer, explain to them about security, how we do differently, which I think that skill I learned by supporting commercial team to me is another area that I think as a CISO we sometimes don't think about, right? So security isn't just the going and say, yeah, we are secure. That's the best way. This is the best way to do this. Why you ask question, right? It's really security is open conversation. How do we engage the conversation? Really, it's a yes. It's not no and why. It's a yes and how, right? That conversation. So which I'm constant learning. In terms outside of my professional work, with the job duties, I think that what motivated me is with the security, your day is different, right? Every day is slightly different, a little bit file draws from here and now. I actually like that because under pressure, some people perform well, some people don't perform well. I find myself tend to perform better under pressure for whatever reason, multitasking and things like that. So that's actually strangely that's probably a motivation factor for me to continue to do what I like to do.
Nice. Thank you very much, Henry. Now moving on to industry perspective. So what current trends are you seeing in general regarding Asian American Pacific Islanders in the security industry? Have you witnessed any changes or the evolution in the people, organizations, solutions, and services since you've been in the field? To kick that off, Naomi?
Oh, yeah. Well, I can only do this from anecdotal evidence, but for sure, I've seen more representation from the Asian community in high position places like big speakers, big speaking events. You're seeing people like Carolyn Wong, right? She's always speaking on our SAY events and stuff like that. I love seeing that. It's a trend that I've noticed. I wasn't really paying attention to too closely, like starting out, but I've definitely noticed in the past few years, like a lot more Asian Americans just like being in those positions of like a higher authority and leadership and being able to speak at events. So I wish there were kind of more surveys that showed the data behind this, but I wouldn't be surprised if we compared the current year to previous years and just seen a massive increase. And I think that trend will continue. It's just amazing.
Joseph?
Yeah, no, I echo Naomi's statement there. I'm definitely seeing a lot more increase in just cybersecurity. I'm getting a lot more female resumes. I'm seeing a lot more Asian resumes. I'm also seeing a lot more African American resumes in general. There's definitely been a lot more interest across the different races in terms of cybersecurity, which I think is actually great. Cybersecurity is one of the problematic areas right now where we have a talent gap in general. The fact that we're seeing a lot more people being interested, I think that's really great overall. Very similar too, I also see a lot more Asian speakers now on a lot of panels, myself included, and I do a lot of panel speaking all the time, but I start to see more people. A friend of mine actually was a CISO or MGM. He's now the CISO of the Democratic convention over in LA now as well too, so it's like you're starting to see a lot more Asian people in leadership roles that are generally reserved for white Americans, but now it's just really across the board now where it's just more diverse these days, and I think it's great.
Thank you, Joseph. Henry?
Yeah, so in terms of diversity, in fact, I wanted to follow up with what Naomi and also Joseph mentioned. In fact, right, as a diligent, we know that we're also ESG company. In fact, we are pressing hard to provide report, right? Breakdowns of the racial, gender, in the senior management and most important board levels. I can tell you those data are not where we like to be, but I think by starting to create more diversity among different racial groups and ethnicity, we have to really honestly starting reporting have seen the data and then report the data in a transparent manner. I think that is on the organization. In other words, if I'm hypothetically, right, if I'm going to evaluate a company as a senior leadership as myself, I'm part of SLT, I would certainly ask, right, do you have ESG measure, what is your breakdown, leadership in terms of gender and racial groups? I think that's a good telltale sign of are they just saying it or they actually do have a material program together. Now, it takes time, right? We're not saying, right, it need to be 25, whatever percent, but starting with the reporting, the real data, out of HR system, and would be very good first step.
Awesome. Thank you, Henry. And Kevin?
Yeah, so from my current role, a lot of our customers, which is really surprising, whenever we got on sales calls, almost always, if it's a group, I always see a female person that's on the security team, which is, I wasn't expecting it before I got into the vendor side of things. And when interviewing, we had a lot of Asian American candidates, a lot of African American candidates, far more females than I was expecting compared to 5 years ago when I first started interviewing. I think at jet.com, we interviewed 200 people. One was female, which was not balanced at all. And at SafeBase, we interviewed probably 20 folks and 9 were female. So we're starting to see, at least from my end on the junior level, that there is a lot of interest from folks of all different backgrounds. So that's cool to see. And even for a lot of our customers, the teams are they actually have a lot more women than I was expecting. And one of our customers in particular, the entire security team is Asian, which I also wasn't expecting. Every time we get on a call, there's 5 or 6 of them, and it's half women, half male, all Asian. And I don't think they purposely designed it that way. It's just how it happened. And I thought that was really different because in consulting, most of the folks I was talking to were white men, right? So I think in the kind of technology SaaS space, it's more common to see diversity. Maybe if you look in the Fortune 500, less so, right? But all the cool kids want to work at the tech SaaS companies these days anyway, right?
I always thought I was a cool kid myself. So thank you, Kevin. So finally, in regards to words of wisdom, do you have any advice you would give to either your younger self, those just starting out, or those making a career change and wanting to get involved in cybersecurity? So to kick that off, Joseph.
So I think if I will tell my younger self, actually I tell this to people today as well too, don't be discouraged if the first job you apply for says no. And I'll tell you why. Cybersecurity is technically, although it's not a new field, it is new for a lot of organizations. They may not be ready for the governance, the experience that you're bringing to the table. So what you're going to see is you might get a lot of rejections because they may want you to conform into their current organization, and you might not be the right fit for them. I will say just keep trying. I've got a lot of rejections over years from resumes, job interviews, but I didn't let that deter me. I kept trying. Eventually you find the right organization that's going to cherish your skills, that's going to develop you and help you bring you to your next level. So my advice is just keep trying. Like, so you'll eventually find the right company that's going to respect your skill sets and you're going to be happy working for them. So.
Thank you, Joseph. Henry?
I would just say that I think in looking back how I got from starting point to got where I am, I think a couple of simple things, right? One obviously goes with the saying working hard, right? That's definitely a attribute. When I say working, I'm not talking about working 12 hours a day, right? Just be productive, right? 8 hours, whatever. Just be productive, focused in the space, right? Don't trying to improve efficiency. And a second, I would say, always do the right thing, even though people are not watching. I know there's cliche. I can tell you this job at the Diligent, I landed the job essentially because a friend or colleague I met work in the bank, because I'm always helped the team, right? Not just, hey, even though it's not my problem, I'm always want to solve the problem. He remembered, and when Diligent looking for CISO, like, oh, we have a perfect candidate. The rest of history. I think the good thing you're doing, you're honestly, you character, people will remember. I think that's a great value that you should carry with you, even though you will, even though you're not being necessarily rewarded, whether it's a monetary compensation or even recognition, but you got to do the right thing all the time. I think that goes a long way.
Thank you, Henry. Kevin?
Yeah, my word of advice for folks that are looking to break into the industry is try to get a mentor. So you'd be surprised at how open people are if you reach out to them on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm really interested in getting into security. This is what I've been learning so far. Would love to have just a 30-minute chat with you to understand your career journey. And what you'll find more often than not is people will generally say yes, or they'll say, hey, I'm really busy, but I do know this other person that could be able to help, would be able to help you. And so this is how I found my current direct report. She came from another company that I happen to have a friend there, and he said, we only had her for an internship. How'd you like to interview her? And the way she got the internship was she wrote a post about how she was transitioning from her previous career, and she attended a boot camp, wrote all these blog posts, participated in all these cybersecurity groups, and was interested in just connecting with folks. And sure enough, my friend just straight up offered her an internship. And so you never know with these things unless you ask, right? And especially if you have some school connection or something, alumni love to help fellow alumni. And so take advantage of that if you can. And with that being said, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to help. It's just all I ask is you explain what you're looking for, what you've currently done, and don't just go up to people and say, hey, give me a job. Say I want to learn from you. And then you'll notice that many people are actually willing to help. And because we all want to hire people, as Joseph said, so maybe we'll even hire you, right? Depending on the situation.
Thank you, Kevin. And Naomi.
Yeah, I'll take that answer from Kevin and pivot a little bit, because when I've helped a couple dozen people get jobs in cybersecurity as entry-level people, and the one thing that always works is when the person provides value back to the community. So when you're an entry-level person, what do? You consume information, right? You learn, you do certifications, you do boot camps, and you put it on your resume. Great. You're also like 99.9% of everyone else who does that. You will stand out. That 0.1% will be you if you take the information that you have and put it out somewhere and make something to give someone else, or you volunteer for something, you volunteer for a working group. Like, there's so many of those. You volunteer for a conference, so many of those. You can do that without any experience. Trust me, there's always grunt work for these things. You can also build your own projects, build a home lab, here's a good project for you guys. If you don't have any project ideas, create a honeypot, set up a free AWS account, set up really small EC2 instance that runs a honeypot that you can download off the internet on GitHub, just Google it. And you run this thing just for like a couple days and see what kind of information you can get and do an analysis on it and write a blog post about it. These are things that people don't do that are very obvious. They're like, oh, I'm just going to consume everything and then somehow magically prove to everyone that I can get in with the information that I have. But that you can't really show that unless you have historical evidence. You have to show people that you can do things, and you build a project, you build a home lab, and you talk about it, or you blog about it, and you make it known that you like love this stuff, right? And that will make you stand out. That 0.1%, that will be you. And think about the thousands of people applying for these jobs. You will immediately stand out to hiring managers, because I am one, or I was one in my previous job. I will be later. But it's one of those things that hiring managers are always looking for. It's like, hey, if you're a volunteer, you create a blog that I can link to, that you can link to on your resume. Make it obvious that you contribute back to the community, and don't say that you can't do it. Yes, you can. You have your opinions, you have theories and thoughts and everything. Just put it out there. And it's okay if people don't like it. Who cares about them? You don't know who they are, right? It's a little different if it's your mom being like, oh, you suck, right? Asian households understand this, but don't let them bother you. Don't let the haters bother you. If you have haters, you're doing something right. Okay, so put yourself out there, put a link to it on your resume, make your resume 3-dimensional, not just 2-dimensional. Get the hiring managers interested in you, and get a little bit excited when you talk about this stuff, right? And that will make you stand out. So if you're looking to break in, for sure, do the 0.1% of be the 0.1%, do a little different, give back to the community.
Thank you, Naomi. And I'll say you could start a honeypot as well on Google Cloud platform, as well as Microsoft Azure. So just want to be fair. So that actually wraps up our questions for the panel. I guess, Jason, I'll leave it up to you, since as the master of ceremony here.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for everyone contributing. We have some time, and I wanted to open up to the guests. Does anyone else have some questions that you want to ask the panel? Oh, Eric, of course, go right ahead.
I certainly have a question.
Let's go.
And gosh, I have like 15 of them, but I'll try to prioritize them. Naomi and Kevin, you both spoke to identifying junior talent and giving them a chance. Twofold question for you. One is, did you have executive leadership from the top that made that easier for you to do, right? Made it easier for you to take the chance on that inexperienced individual? And then number two, what was the time frame and the level of effort to get that person up to speed and functional within your environment? And then I guess one more, would you do it again based off of that experience?
I could take that one. Eric, are you a hiring manager?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So if you have headcount slated for your team, you're going to be in a tough situation, because you right away, you're like, I have a need on my team. I'm probably going to be better if I just do a senior. Like it's a very common thing, right? I get it. Now here's what you're going to do. If you have this position open for more than a few months, this position is neat, you're trying to find the perfect person, you can give somebody a temporary chance. Hire an intern. This is how I did it. I'd be like, I have a need right now. I'm going to find the perfect person, but it's going to take a while. It's always, I think the average is like 6 months. But in the meantime, senior leadership, is it okay if I hire an intern? $20 an hour, 36 hours a week. You don't even have to pay them benefits, right? Thank you, American law. But you don't have to do any, you just be like, and it's so easy that way to give that person 3-4 months of experience. And then you can go and be like, you know what, if you're a great fit, you hire someone who has a great potential for learning and they're a great personality and hard worker, like give them a chance, give them the ability to learn in that role. And maybe they can pivot into that more like mid-senior level role. And it is possible. Let me tell you, it is possible. I did this most recently with an opera singer who has zero experience. Oh yeah. I was surprised. And when you mentioned and when you asked how hard was it to find this person? Okay, not hard at all, because my recruiter, the internal recruiter, posted on exactly 3 Facebook groups about an internship that I had open. Just 3 Facebook groups. And out of the 3 Facebook groups, we had 15 respondents who were really interested. Out of those, like 4 of them made to the finals. And I really just hired her based off her intense curiosity, her historical evidence of showing that she could learn something difficult. By the way, she speaks 3 languages, right? Wow. These are kind of the historical evidence that I look for. She's great at critical thinking. For the take-home project, I had her like review Sans white paper, right? And be like, tell me what this is. What does this mean? How does this apply? What are the threats here? Whatever. She learned it so quickly. She passed her Security Plus in 90 days. She passed her CISA Plus in the next 6 months, right? These are smart people. They're not dumb. And like, if you just take somebody with that potential and that curiosity, I guarantee you, they will blow your minds. And that is a common theme that I've seen over and over and over again. I'm just like dying to tell people like how, especially hiring managers, how easy it is to find them. Don't look for the perfect intern. That's not the point. You find an intern that will be a really, really good person to get you the grunt work, to lay that foundation for you, asset management, configuration management, all that kind of stuff. That is fairly easy because it's just a spreadsheet, right? Like you can do this and it's very easy. Don't overthink it for sure. Go through your internal recruiters, post in a few Facebook groups and student groups and everything like that, and they will come to you. And you won't have to find the perfect person, at least for the first 3 months. You still have runway to find that more senior person if you do need them.
And did you, just one last question, did you set the same expectation with the candidate that you did with management? Meaning, hey, look, this is us taking a chance on you. We're not guaranteed to work out. We're going to need you to lean in.
Absolutely.
So it was a shared experience.
Oh yeah, I'm actually harder on the entry level people because I know what's at stake. I can't just hire anybody and be like, okay, you do security now. No, I need to have them shadow me. I need to give them a training plan. I am on them to learn, because I know how much you have to learn. There's so much in security, right? You can't just walk in and know everything. So yeah, they understand it's not a guaranteed job after that 90-day, that 3-month internship. Hey, it's not a guarantee. But if there's a position open and if you do all these things, yeah, maybe, right? And they know this, right? So, and this is really only works for those entry level positions. If you do need a senior level person, that's going to take a little more time, but find someone who maybe already does a role in technology. So another role that I opened up was application security engineer. I took a developer who had some interest in security and I made him a security engineer, an application security engineer, because he already knew the tech stack. I hired him internally. He already knew our tech stack. He already knew our code. He already had relationships built with the engineers, right? He already knew how the CI/CD works. Like all these things were massively helpful. And this is a learning curve that an application security engineer would have to do anyway. But since the developer already had it, all I had to do is teach him the OWASP top 10, give him like SANS training, all these things that he can do really quickly. And that's what happens.
Awesome.
Just take some effort.
Awesome. Kevin, I do want to get your response too, because this sounds like you've operated in fast-paced environments. And typically that's a little bit more unforgiving when it comes to learning experience. So I'd love to hear how you went through that process.
Sure. Yeah. I cheated a little bit because my direct report was partially trained by my friend during her internship, but we specifically scoped out this role so that it wasn't just you do all security. It was you're focused on GRC, right? Stuff that doesn't require software experience. So her job is to assist some of our customers with RFPs and security questionnaires. And so my thought was, we have a ton of these questionnaires from our customers from the past. Read all of them and you will be able to help all of them without my guidance in 3 months. And yesterday she told me, hey, we finished this questionnaire with them. It took us 20 minutes, right? The first one she was doing with them took her 6 hours. And so I basically check in with her once a day and I say, you're good to go. Let me know if you need anything. Here's all the materials you need. And this was something we identified in the interview, was just that she was like, I want to learn everything. Tell me more than you're even expecting, because I just want to absorb the knowledge. And like Naomi said, this is like a personality trait that you can find, even if they don't have the experience. And regarding leadership buy-in, small company, right? Our leadership team at the time was 4 people. And they basically said, do whatever you need to do to make our customers happy. And I said, a junior person with this type of role will help us a lot. And she has been amazing. And we're going to hire another person, because I'm planning on promoting her soon at some point this year, to take her place as the kind of first step, right? So it worked out really well for us.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you both.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Anyone else out there with some questions for the panel and speakers?
Dwayne put an interesting, I was gonna let Dwayne go first. You put an interesting question in the chat
Yes.
to Naomi about, you want to answer
Yeah.
a question, Dwayne?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so very much. This question is for Naomi, because I know you said you were speaking about internship position, but I see that most internship positions, they require fresh graduates. So how do you address those that transitioning from other careers, but they have been out of school for several years and they might not be able to qualify for internship because they've had several years of experience, but outside of cybersecurity?
Right.
Security.
Perfect question. I was just typing this in. All right. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to go up and you're going to look on Indeed and any job board, and you're going to see a position that is maybe targeted to your interest level, your interest area, GRC, anything that like piques your interest, right? Pen tester, whatever it is. And then you're going to notice how long that position has been open. You're going to see this position was open 3 months ago. This position was 6 months ago, whatever it is. You're going to target those older job openings. And then you're going to contact that company, and you can find the hiring manager even better. You're going to say, hey, I noticed this position's been open for 6 months. What would you consider? What do you think? If I came in and did a 3-month internship while you are looking for this person? That way I can help you with the foundations, and this is what I know, this is what I like about GRC. And you sell that part of you and be like, I will do this internship for you. It will be paid, first of all. Don't offer your services for free. You will be paid. But you'd be like, and by the way, I know this is just an intern. Why don't I help you just do the basics for you while you're looking for this person? Because it's already been open for 6 months. And then, and anyone can just be like, well, why should I hire you? Be like, what's better, an empty seat or like a person who is willing to help you, right? And like show them the passion, show them that curiosity, show them your ability to learn, all that good stuff. Give them a link to your GitHub, a link to your blog, all that kind of stuff, and be really, really just interested in that company. And then that's one thing, another thing that a lot of candidates don't really do is they like spray and pray all their resume and their applications. They don't really focus on the companies that they really want to work at and like why they want to work at that. So when a hiring manager asks you, why do you want to work for this company? You get like a generic blah answer. I'd be like, oh, I really want to do like tech, right? They're like, no, like what's about this mission, about this company? Like what about the audience or the customers and stuff that interests you? And then you sell that part of yourself too and be like, I'm really interested in working for Crunchbase or like whatever, like, and just be like really, really interested in that company. You might even have to fake it a little bit, but like you sound really interested. People are going to be like, oh yeah, this person's a really good culture fit. They're going to be really interested in helping us win. They're going to be really interested in learning this stuff. And oh yeah, they're going to be really cheap too. Like you're an intern. And then just sell yourself that way. But not a lot of candidates do this. They only see the internships open. They like Google or they search for like on Indeed, like internship openings or whatever. Don't do that. You're going to find those positions that have been open for 3 or 6 months. You're going to try to contact the company, the hiring manager, and be like, hey, I noticed you have this position open. I'm not really interested in that position, but I'm willing to give you an internship, whatever, for 3 months, 1 month, whatever it is. That way you can start building out your resume.
Great. Thank you so very much, Naomi. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It works.
Hey, Jay, you want to ask your question? That was a pretty good question.
Oh yeah, sure. So basically I was asking for those of us who are interested more of like the cloud security architects or rather security architect roles, what would you suggest us to like focus on rather when it comes to like tailoring your resume or, like training, whether it's hands-on or you just know big pictures, and that's what typical architects focus on, just big pictures and coming up with like specific use cases and design. I know those are sometimes, like more senior level, kind of depends on where you're at, or maybe like a, CSA, cloud solution architect focus on specific areas in security, which is, also broad. Some can focus on like endpoint security, or it might be like application security. So just asking, general questions, because I know sometimes, like I said, it's either mid-level, sometimes senior level, depending on where you're at. But I know it's definitely hard to come across one of those roles, even when it came to interviewing, you never know what you're going to be asked. It could be some general security questions when it comes to like the technical assessment, or it could just be focused on like cloud specific things. If I would refer to AWS, like what do they use for threat detection and monitoring, which could definitely vary versus using like some third-party tools that doesn't belong to, public cloud provider. So any advice, suggestions?
Yeah, I'll take this, you guys don't mind. Definitely for mid-level roles, we're looking at your experiences first, right? In your resumes, I will put the projects that you have completed, the types of product lines that you have touched and used. Tailor your resume as close to the job descriptions that you're looking for, they have experience with. Mid-level roles, we're also looking for things like certifications, like what type of certifications you have gotten, right, to kind of further qualify your expertise. Networking, I think, is always key, to be honest, because you never know who you might meet. One of my previous jobs, seriously, you can laugh. I get a call from a recruiter that morning, say this company's looking to hire for you. We'd be interested to send me your resume over. I send it over. I go to a Mets game, and the person that I submitted the recruiter to, the hiring manager was at the Mets game, and I literally just bonded with my future boss at the Mets game. I got the job literally on the spot. So I think networking is very, very key as well, to definitely never put yourself out there, because you never know who you're going to meet.
Thank you, appreciate it. That actually worked for me in one instance when I first got my role in security, not in tech. I was networking with someone on LinkedIn. 7 months later, I was on her team. So
it works. It works.
Can I just also answer Jay's question? Because in terms of architecture, I think the big differentiator in terms of architecture role versus engineer is the architect solves the business problem, right? So sometimes as a techie, we fell short to ask, what's the business problem we're trying to solve, rather than just giving them a perfect technical design solution, right? Because it could be very expensive. I made the same mistake just 2 weeks ago, right? I was fairly new to AWS, however, my sort of experience with the networking was the on-prem private cloud. I thought I designed perfect AWS security architecture with the other team. Yeah, of course the application team look at it. Yeah, this is not. It looks fantastic, but it's not feasible because it will be very expensive, right? So lesson learned, right? You got to understand what's the business problem you're solving here. I think that the mindset is critical for architect role, regardless of the level, junior, middle, or senior levels.
All right, thank you.
Excellent. We have time for one more question. Anyone else out there? Oh, David,
hands up.
I see your hand
Hello.
up.
Cool. Thank you. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for the great presentation. My name is David. I'm a customer success manager at Recorded Future. I'm one of the things that I realized I like doing is I'll give you a specific example. I analyzed one of the 10Ks for a publicly traded company. That's one of my clients, and identified what the risks to the business are from a cyber perspective. And in doing that little project, I realized that I like the intersection of business, risk, and cybersecurity. What are some roles as a 26-year-old, couple years out of college, with a political science and Russian degree? What are some roles that you think I should be looking at as a next step to advance my cyber career?
Yeah, I can answer quickly. So I would say, kind of like we mentioned in the chat, there are a lot of these like risk assessment focused consulting companies. And the nice thing about that is you get to see a lot of variety across different organizations. And you don't necessarily need to have the computer science background to do it. And it's more just understanding there's this weakness, this is why it affects the business and whatnot. And there's all these like sorts of frameworks you'll learn about how to identify risks in organizations. You meet a lot of like high-level executives doing these types of things. And you may get to travel if that's something of interest to you. So that's what I did as my first job.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Anyone else want to comment before we close it out?
Time.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for everyone attending today. Special thanks to Henry, Kevin, Joseph, Naomi, and Eric for the great panel and discussion and sharing your stories. Once again, I'm Jason Gonzales. I'm the treasurer chapter for the New York chapter Cyversity. If you're interested in volunteering, I put my email in the chat. Feel free to reach out to us. And once again, thank you very much. Have a great day. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just
Kirby.
one thing, if you're still here, if there's a survey in the chat, if you can complete it and give us your feedback, that'll be helpful for us as we put on more events like this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, guys. Take care.